She dropped out of Stanford at 19 with a revolutionary idea, a single drop of blood that could detect every disease. Elizabeth Holmes became the youngest self-made female billionaire, celebrated on magazine covers, praised by world leaders. But behind the black turtleneck and deep voice lay a dangerous secret. The technology never worked. This is the story of how ambition became fraud and how Silicon Valley's golden girl built a $9 billion empire on lies. In 2003, a 19-year-old Elizabeth Holmes sat in a Stanford laboratory, fascinated by blood testing technology. Her professor, Channing Robertson, saw extraordinary potential. She patented a revolutionary idea, a compact device using microfluidics to run hundreds of tests from a single drop. The concept was scientifically plausible, which made the eventual deception so convincing. Theranos was born in a dorm room, fueled by a $6,000 education fund from her parents. Holmes mastered the art of persuasion. She assembled a board of legends, former secretaries of state, retired generals, prominent CEOs. Investors poured in millions based on her vision alone. By 2014, Theranos was valued at $9 billion, with Walgreens and Safeway signing major partnerships. The company's headquarters featured Steve Jobs' biography on every desk, a carefully crafted culture of disruption and secrecy. The Edison device. Theranos' revolutionary blood analyzer was a technological failure. Internal emails revealed engineers knew it produced inaccurate results. The solution? Secretly using commercial machines from Siemens and diluting blood samples to run tests. When even that failed, they manipulated quality control data. Patients received dangerously incorrect results for HIV, cancer, and pregnancy, all while believing in Theranos' revolutionary technology. Tyler Schultz, grandson of board member George Schultz, risked everything. As a 24-year-old employee, he witnessed the fraud firsthand and contacted New York State's Public Health Lab. His grandfather initially sided with Theranos, creating a family rift. Whistleblower Erica Chung also came forward, describing how the company faked proficiency testing. Their courage would eventually bring down the entire empire. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist John Carreyrou received an anonymous tip. His investigation faced unprecedented resistance. Theranos hired expensive lawyers, threatened lawsuits, and tried to discredit sources. But the evidence was overwhelming. Former employees described how the technology consistently failed validation tests. When the first article published in October 2015, Theranos' house of cards began collapsing. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services inspections revealed shocking violations, unqualified staff, inadequate procedures, contaminated samples. The FDA banned Theranos' proprietary nanotainers. Walgreens terminated their partnership, closing all 40 wellness centers. Within months, the company's $9 billion valuation evaporated as regulators exposed what insiders had known for years. Holmes cultivated a mysterious persona. The deep voice, the black turtlenecks, the intense stare. She rarely blinked in interviews, claiming she slept 4 hours nightly and didn't date because Theranos is my life." This carefully constructed image helped her charm investors, employees, and the media. The persona became as important as the product, until both proved fictional. Real people suffered consequences. A woman received false positive HIV results. Another was incorrectly told she had a miscarriage. Cancer patients got inaccurate PSA tests. The human cost extended beyond financial fraud. These were life-altering misdiagnoses from a company promising better healthcare. Their stories became the moral center of the legal case. Sunny Balwani, 20 years Holmes Sr., served as president and secret romantic partner. Employees described his management style as abusive and paranoid. Federal prosecutors would later prove he knew about the technological failures while aggressively expanding the company. Their relationship, both professional and personal, created a power dynamic that enabled the fraud. In March 2018, the SEC charged Holmes with massive fraud. She settled, paying a $500,000 fine and losing control of Theranos. But the criminal case proved more serious. 11 counts of wire fraud and conspiracy. If convicted, she faced 20 years in prison. The trial would become a landmark case in Silicon Valley history. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence: falsified validation reports, fake demonstrations to investors, manipulated financial projections. The defense argued Holmes was a well-intentioned entrepreneur who believed in her technology. But internal messages showed she personally approved using doctored pharmaceutical company reports to investors. Lab directors testified they repeatedly warned Holmes about inaccurate results. Internal data showed the Edison devices failed quality control 29% of the time. Most damning, emails proving Holmes knew Siemens machines were processing most tests while claiming it was their proprietary technology. The evidence painted a clear picture of intentional deception. After 7 days of deliberation, the jury found Holmes guilty on 4 counts of fraud. The conviction sent shockwaves through Silicon Valley, challenging the fake-it-till-you-make-it culture. She was acquitted on 4 counts, and the jury hung on 3 others. But the message was clear: tech fraud has serious consequences. In November 2022, Holmes received an 11-year prison sentence. Victims gave emotional statements about misdiagnoses affecting their lives. The judge noted her apparent lack of remorse and the need to deter similar Silicon Valley fraud. She reported to prison in May 2023, beginning her sentence at a minimum security facility in Texas. Theranos became a cautionary tale about hero worship in tech. It inspired documentaries, podcasts, and books examining how so many smart people were fooled. Business schools added case studies about ethical leadership. The scandal forced investors to ask harder questions and journalists to be more skeptical of secretive startups. What drove Holmes? Psychologists debated whether she was a sociopath, a visionary who lost her way, or a product of Silicon Valley's reality distortion field. Colleagues described her as genuinely believing she could make the technology work eventually. The ends justify the means mentality taken to criminal extremes. Congress passed new laws regulating laboratory-developed tests. The FDA increased oversight of diagnostic devices. Venture capitalists implemented stricter due diligence. Theranos' collapse became a case study in why healthcare technology requires more scrutiny than consumer apps. Because real lives are at stake, patients who received false diagnoses reached settlements. But money couldn't undo the psychological trauma. Former employees struggled to find new jobs in the industry. Investors lost millions. The human cost extended far beyond financial losses, affecting careers, health, and trust in medical innovation. Theranos represents the dark side of Silicon Valley's move fast and break things culture. It exposed how charisma and narrative can temporarily override reality. But it also demonstrated that systemic fraud eventually collapses, and that whistleblowers and investigative journalism remain essential checks on power. The story endures as a warning about what happens when ambition divorces from ethics. The Theranos story reminds us that in the race for innovation, ethics can't be left behind. If this investigation into corporate deception revealed new truths for you, join our community at Reality Decoded. Subscribe and hit the notification bell to explore more hidden truths shaping our world. Share this video with someone who believes in ethical innovation, because understanding the past is our best protection for the future. Stay curious, stay aware. This is Reality Decoded, where truth gets its voice.